everyone, and welcome to another edition of Little Give. I cannot wait for you to meet Jerry. He's doing some really cool things in this world that I think are so necessary. Jerry, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, tell us what you're all about.
Sure. Jerry Freishtat. I'm from the Baltimore, Washington market. I live in Maryland, and I've spent my entire career as an entrepreneur. Started my first business, right after college, out of the basement of my house. Built multiple businesses. I've had multiple exits, and through that experience over those years, it led me to take all the trials and tribulations, everything I've learned, the ups and downs, made millions, lost millions. I mean, you name it, it happened to me. And that led me to writing my book called Run with the Cheetahs, which is basically the process of living an extraordinary life.
Okay, wow. So much to peel back here. Okay, so tell us a bit more about your entrepreneurial journey. That's insane to me that you've done so many different things in your lifetime. And I know you're still going through and growing through so many more. Tell us about that first business. I think that's fascinating whenever you find out, a little bit more behind the scenes. So tell us about that.
Yeah, when I was finishing up my senior year at the University of Maryland, I was doing some part-time work with my brother in manufacturing of vertical blinds. That was at the very beginning of when vertical blinds just hit the market. And so when I graduated, I broke off from what I was doing with my brother, and he was in manufacturing, and I opened up a little small retail operation, as I said, out of the basement of my house. And it was just an amazing experience. I sold the products during the week, installed them on the weekends. I was a one-man show, and after 3 months, all of a sudden, there was $10,000 in that checking account. And at that time in my life, I didn't know anybody that had $10,000. And it's so ironic because that feeling of that first $10,000, nothing, the millions that came later, nothing matched that feeling of that first business. And it just continued to grow. And next thing I know, I'm, in my upper 20s and had a $4 million operation. I merged it in with another company. And then in the late 90s, it was also in window treatments. I was able to exit that for a nice mid 7-figure exit. And then a few years later, I was in a situation where something fell in my hands in the home food delivery business. And we were in the high-end organic, all-natural foods. We were on the cutting edge of that because this was before like the big, health food generation, I guess you would call it, before Whole Foods and Wegmans and all those places existed. And we were essentially the only home food delivery company at that time. This was way before everything happened with Amazon and Instacart and all those things. So again, it was kind of right place, right time. And that business, consistently grew for 19 years. And then all of a sudden, March the 8th, 2020 comes along, COVID, and our business went kaboom. Literally tripled our sales in 1 month. That continued that process for probably 9 months straight. And then private equity companies started looking at our organization. I got multiple inquiries to buy the company. And I had no intention of selling the company, but when an offer came in that I couldn't turn down, it turned out it was a very nice, low 8-figure exit for me.
Wow, that's wonderful. I love to hear someone's journey like that, where you talk a bit about like in the beginning where you're like $10,000, like, wow. And I can totally relate because I remember being a little girl and not even really knowing anybody who didn't have a house without wheels besides my grandparents, And so it's just, and you're right, like there's nothing that can replace that feeling of when you figure out like, oh, wow, this is cool. This is different. And then how that kind of pivoted through various things in your journey. I love that you share all that. Talk a bit about the book now. I mean, man, all of a sudden you end up deciding to become an author. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, well, the book was kind of a natural evolution. I kind of dreamed about the book probably 10, 15 years ago and just started, keeping all of my notes and data and it, kind of compiled up. The reason I never wrote my book until last year was I didn't think I had the capabilities of writing it. And I eventually met a publisher who, got me with a ghostwriter that didn't necessarily work out too well. But eventually I was able to sit down and do it. I'm kind of an ADD guy. And to sit down and write a book, I didn't think it was even possible, but worked through that process, got it done, had the Audible all done. And the book is a combination of, I've been studying like the most elite individuals and what makes them tick for about 30 years. And then I've combined that with all of my experiences. Even though I told you all the successes I had in my business, there were many, many failures along the way. I lost millions of dollars twice in my life. At 40 years old, I was totally broke and had to start over. And the resilience to come back repeatedly, and every time that comeback always exceeded the setbacks in life. And if we can, battle through and be resilient and understand that, a single defeat is never a final defeat, you can have a lot of success in life. The book covers a full variety of everything from relationships, entrepreneurship, my entire sports background. I played golf at the University of Maryland on a golf scholarship, and the odds of that were 1,000,000 to 1 when that happened. And it turned out to be a wonderful thing for me. I also had a 5-year bodybuilding career, which is a whole nother story that's in the book, and how that processed along. So it's a book that's full of a lot of stories. It has a lot of detail about, quality of, intrinsic success. And there's a lot of quotes in there. I have a lot of things from the mentors that I've followed over the years. And it's something that everybody can get not only enjoyment out of reading the book, it is definitely something that can launch you to a higher level of success.
I love that. And I love how you took your years of experience of whether it be a good experience or a bad experience, and you've really grown through that, and then showing people that it's possible for them. And I think that that's awesome that you're willing to share that, because, some people might just want to highlight the good parts of what's gone right, instead of just, your story in general. What is it about you that makes you feel like you want to share those, losses sometimes?
Well, that's a quite a long story. It really stems, from my childhood. I was had a very difficult elementary school years in school with discipline issues. Again, being an ADD kid back in the era where they didn't really know how to deal with kids that had that situation. I was rarely in class. I spent the majority of my time in the principal's office with different psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors. I mean, you name it. This went on for years during my elementary school. And what actually got me out of that was my 6th grade teacher. And she was somebody who recognized that different kids needed to learn different ways. She recognized that I was a child that needed to be busy in action all the time. And she made the curriculum set up like games for me. She let me do projects in class, and it completely turned things around for me, and made me go from feeling like I was, what's wrong with, this kid, Jerry, to I kind of had a superpower in being an ADD kid if it was applied correctly. And that just kind of launched me from there after 6th grade. Did very well from there forward. And looking to share, those experiences with other people. And that's what the book is all about. Ironically, I didn't necessarily write the book for young people, but the best feedback I've gotten from are generally high school and college age people that have read the book.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I could not love your story more. I like whenever you said if it's applied correctly, because I myself am ADD and I have a child who's also ADD. And it's so interesting whenever you have somebody who says, there's something wrong with you versus somebody who says, hey, there's so much right with you, And my own experience with my child who has ADD, she had this one teacher that just figured out that if she was just dribbling a basketball, she could actually pay attention to the lesson and be out of the room and not disturb another child. So she went way out of her way to get her headphones and really show her hey, there's another way. There's always a way. And that's so cool about how your 6th grade teacher took her time to kind of show you you're not broken, you're actually special, in a very, very great way. So I love that you're willing to share these stories, because I know there are so many people out there, whether they be entrepreneurs or parents struggling with kids who are, maybe ADD and they all of a sudden want to identify it as a behavior problem when that's not it. It's just the busy brain just needs something to do. And if you give it something to do, you're going to really get a lot more out of that child. So I appreciate you being willing to share that.
Sure. Absolutely. And, just to elaborate on that, I think that kids that, go through that process, the education system, and if you're not with the proper teachers, mentors, and even parents sometimes have a real tough time, with the self-esteem issue and confidence with kids. And I tell you, it's an amazing thing how, when one person can literally just make you feel that sense of self-worth with the smallest little thing, what it can do to change your life.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this whole show is little give. That's what we're all about, is you never know when that little thing is going to hit just right to really impact somebody's life. And so just like your 6th grade teacher and, different people who have impacted my life, it's just amazing how those little things really add up. It's not about somebody giving you, $1 million check. It's not about those things. It's about the little things that really impact you in your future. So now I really want to peel back about what you're doing next. Tell us the big deal you're working on right now.
Well, I've been very fortunate to have all the success that I've had. And I think the greatest gift is to be able to teach what you learn. So I have always been engaged with coaching with youth, and I've had a lot of success in coaching sports. I have 5 children that are all very successful and have done extremely well in life. And so I believe that confidence is at the core of all success. However, it's a trailing indicator. Okay. So what I mean by that is that confidence is simply the memory of winning. So I am opening a company called the Confidence Factory, where we teach kids how to be in the game, show up repeatedly to learn how to win so that they can gain confidence with everything they do moving forward in life.
I just think this is such an awesome idea. I just, where in the world were you thinking one day, like, you know what? I've already had these successes. I've already had these losses. I've had these experiences myself. Where did you say, I'm ready to give back and really help get people's confidence up to par?
It's just really from my own personal experience. I mean, you have a choice in life. You could be a victor or be a victim. And, I've had a lot of really negative, bad things happen to me, some self-inflicted, some not self-inflicted. And if you learn to take accountability for everything, you can, again, have the resilience to come back and win those battles. That's what I call them in my book. There's a chapter called Embrace the Battle. And every time you win a battle, you are one step higher up on your ladder, to living a better life. And it's something that I just felt obligated, is really the word, to go back and teach younger people that, that nothing is all encompassing. And like I said earlier, a single defeat is never, ever a final defeat. You can always come back.
I love your message. I love the method you're going at to get this going. Tell us a bit about how it is that a young child might come to the Confidence Factory and feel a little overwhelmed and think, "Ooh, this is possible for him and these other successful people, but I'm different and I could never do it."
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, because of the world of social media today, and also, the education system, and, again, they didn't know how to handle a child like me. That really hasn't changed much. That kids just feel that they're different, and feeling different is a negative in their mind because of the way it's portrayed upon them. When the reality of it is every single child is born with gifts. And just because you don't, look the same as someone else, or you're not be from the same place as somebody else, you don't have the same background as somebody else, it has nothing to do with your potential, the gifts you are born with, and what you can build in your life. And we teach that being different is something that, is something you can take to whatever it is that you want to do in life. Everybody has talents that they're born with. And one of the things that I'm teaching at the Confidence Factory is like, people want to pursue their passions. And instead of pursuing your passions, you should really focus in and pursue on what you're good at, because things that you're naturally gifted with and what you're good at come easier to you, and it builds your self-esteem and builds your confidence. So I tell people to keep their passions for their hobbies and focus in on what they have talent at.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and we need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
I love that. And I just think that it's so necessary. I feel like, people in general, they don't think like each other, right? So like for me, I've always thought to myself is like, why don't people think like me, And I've learned as I've grown, now, being the person that I am, I really see that, like, that's awesome that people don't think like me, that's so cool. And I really wish I could have gone back and told my young self that this is a cool thing. This is not a problem. This is amazing. Stop trying to be like everyone else. However, I do wonder if I would have been ready to receive that information at that time. Tell me a bit about how with the Confidence Factory, you're going to be able to, of course, bring in the kids and bring in the parents, and then really get them to understand that this is something that they are capable of.
All right. Well, we're suffering from a confidence crisis. I mean, it's literally like 64% of kids, by the time they get to middle school, have a significant drop in their confidence. So the way I describe it is what we do at the Confidence Factory is we inner engineer kids for success. And the classes are structured with real in-time, direct coaching on real situations of what we do. We use lots of music, lots of video, lots of mentors, lots of sports figures. And it's something that is knowledge based. In order to excel at anything in life, you first have to start with gaining the knowledge. Knowledge creates curiosity, and then curiosity leads to actions. And then once you start processing some small actions, then motivation kicks in, and you kind of start that path. It's not easy, by the way. I mean, but it's kind of like, and you probably know this as well, and probably most of your listeners know this, is that it's all about a consistency. If you started doing, personal development or, education learning after school, and you want to get educated on knowledge-based things on how to live an extraordinary life. If you do that for 3 months and then you stop, you're going to have a setback. So, we teach that this is a lifestyle. It's the way you live your life, and you go about it, and you're going to take that to the grave. So, that's why our initial course is 20 weeks long. It's not something they come to for an hour or 2 hours. It's 20 1.5-hour courses that a child takes. And then at the end of that, we also have, added courses they can take as like higher level courses, depending on what their interests are. We have a course called Minds to Millions for entrepreneurs. And we have a course called The Locker Room for people who are sports driven, that want to approach the mental side of sports. We also have correlations with elite, individual trainers to sports specific training as well. But overall, we just teach indestructible confidence by building what we call remarkable boldness. We teach intrinsic motivation, relationship building, connection and communication skills. My favorite one is grit and resilience, to help someone grow stronger. And when things get hard, that's the beginning, not the end. And then, of course, you have to have focus and follow through. The ability to finish is critical. And that was something that my bodybuilding coach taught me a few years back, that he said to me, you will finish every single thing you do, every rep, every minute of cardio, every bit of little what you eat for that diet while you're prepping for it. And that was his famous line, you will finish.
And I love that. But I also love how you said a moment ago, you're like, you know what? It depends on their interest. And I think that's one of the things I really fell in love with about what you're doing is like, it's not blanket. It's not like every person comes in here and this is what they're going to do, and this is how it is. But you really are very particular about making sure that you're following that child's interest. And I think when you do that, not only can that instill confidence, but in addition to that, it can give them that feeling of like, I am different and it's awesome. Is that a little bit of what you're thinking through whenever you're building out this confidence factory?
Yeah, I mean, the core of success, is similar for everybody. It's just that people, especially young people, just don't realize what they have. I mean, most, my wife, for example, my wife's a high school educator. She's been there for 25 years, and she, it's been really bad since COVID. It's gotten a lot worse, but, she said that the kids coming into high school are hopeless. They feel like such a total failure because they can't, a kid that doesn't, can't do calculus formulas or doesn't comprehend Macbeth or something like that. I mean, it has nothing to do with the child's intelligence, how successful they can be. A kid could be great with his hands. There's all kinds of things, but the education system, unfortunately, can make somebody feel like a total failure. And they end up feeling hopeless about themselves because of that. So, the education system really from the late 1800s hasn't changed much. It really hasn't changed much. And it needs a major overhaul.
A major overhaul. It seems like that's what you're trying to work through here, is to like do that major overhaul. And you're right. Like even as an adult, I look at me and my husband, and for me, I have this business brain, right? Like I'm that entrepreneur, like I can see it in my mind, right? And my husband's all about sports. Right. And so what I realize is when he's talking about sports, I kind of don't understand that language. And when I'm talking about business, he's a little bit like, not really, getting what I'm saying. But that does not mean by any means that, I'm stupid or he's stupid. It just means that we think in different ways. And that's one of the things I really, really was drawn to whenever I heard about your platform and what you're trying to, do for these kids, is like showing them that, like, just because you don't see it that way doesn't mean you're stupid, doesn't mean you're weird. It just means you think different, which is
Yeah.
what we all need to come together as a united world and appreciate the fact that I don't think like you and you don't think like me all the time, but we can work together to build something great. And so I love that part about what you're working on.
Yeah. I mean, we live in the world of, the patronizing, where everyone gets a trophy. And so for young people, a kid that's 10 years old, it's falsely told, hey, you're an awesome baseball player, when he actually sucks at baseball. And in his mind, he thinks he's going to the major leagues. Well, that same kid, maybe his talent is in music, and he could be, the next, great performer on Broadway. You don't know. But, when you falsely patronize children, that's another thing that is not good for them. I call it, you want to be around allies, not friends. Allies provide the truth, and friends provide comfort. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, the truth always wins. And that's one thing that we do with our kids is there's no patronizing whatsoever. You're going to get the truth at our course.
I could not love it more, and I know the name of this show is Little Give, but you've just done so much that's going to be a big give that's really going to shape and change the lives of so many kids. So I want to say thank you so much for that. I ask every guest 2 questions, and so I'm excited to ask you. I can't wait to hear your answers. The first one is, can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they can do in their community that might make a really big impact on the other side?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that adults can do and parents can do is exhibit reliability and accountability so that others can count on you. I call it being the go-to person. And that is something that, puts you in kind of a leadership role where people can 100% count on you to execute, follow up, do what you say you're going to do, and follow through. And when you set that example, it's like I always say about parenting is that, it's not what you say, it's not what you think, it's what you do. Your kids are going to do what you do. And I think the same thing applies to community.
I love that. Just, do what you say and say what you mean and mean what you say, right?
That's exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great example. I don't think we've had someone feature that one yet, but thank you.
Yep.
So the second one is, can you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you? It might have just been a little thing on their end, but really made a big impact on you and in your life.
Sure. I think the best example of this is when I was 12 years old, when I started into the golf world, and I lived about 2-3 miles from the University of Maryland golf course. I used to ride my bike up there to, just chip and putt around the greens and things like that. But, my family had no money whatsoever, so I didn't have the ability to buy, practice range balls or to play on the golf course or anything like that. Golf's an expensive sport. So I was up there one day, and one of the pros was outside, and I literally 12 years old, I walked up and I said, hey, Mr. Hoffman, I said, is there anything I can do around here so that I can maybe, get some practice balls for free? And he was immediately receptive to it. And he hooked me up with the driving range manager, and he arranged for me to come in on Saturday and Sunday mornings at like 6 a.m. And I picked up the golf balls from outside the fence and used to bring them back, and he let me practice in exchange for doing that. And little did I know that little give he gave me led me to be able to pursue the game of golf, get a scholarship to college. And here's the ironic part. 8 years later, he was my coach when I was on the University of Maryland golf team.
Wow. Again, like, he had no idea what an impact that was going to make on you, and he did it anyway. And
Yep.
that's just something that's so special to me. Is there's been so many people have touched me in my life too, that are just, they've done these little tiny things that like showed me like, oh, wow, that's possible for me. And it seems like that's kind of what he did for you, is like, he showed you it was possible.
Correct.
And then you took that ball literally and you putted it off and really just took those examples. And I think that you never know when you're going to impress someone like that, impact someone like that, make a change in someone's life like that. So I absolutely love that story. What about a nonprofit? Do you have any nonprofits that you love and you want to feature today?
Well, I work a little bit with my publisher's nonprofit, which is 1040 Impact. And what they do is they do rescues of young girls around the world that have been kidnapped or are being human trafficked and so forth. And they've done a tremendous job over the years. From what I understand, virtually 100% of all the donations go right to the cause. It's the gentleman's name is Michael Butler, and the company is Beyond Publishing. And he's been a big impact on me with the book, and also he's a very charitable guy who's helped out a lot of people.
I love it. I love it. How did you first come to know this nonprofit?
Through the publisher. Yep, exactly. Yeah, it was part of he's part of everything he does in promoting and everything he does. It's attached to every aspect of the business.
That's so wonderful when somebody finds something they're really good at and then they find a way to like give back and help too. And not just themselves, but other people around them. So I think that's incredible. Tell the audience where they can find you and get to know more about you and the Confidence Factory and where they can get that book at.
Sure. The book is everywhere. Obviously mainly on Amazon. And I said the Audible is available as well. And the nice thing about the Audible is there's some in-between chapter commentary that is not in the book. That's some really good content. So if you get the Audible, you probably enjoy it a little bit more. And to reach us, it's just confidencefactory.org. And you can go out on there and learn all about the Confidence Factory. You can look at our courses, and if you're in our local market, you certainly can register your child to become part of the group.
I love it. And so everybody out there who's watching today, go find out more about him and all he does. Find out more about that Confidence Factory and learn more. Get that book and really dive in, because what we really need in this world right now is for our young people and even us adults to have higher and better confidence. So I really want you, and I encourage you to go and just get to know more about Jerry and what he's all about. If you're, excited about that nonprofit that he featured, please go to their website, find out more. And if you can donate $1, $5 multiplied by the large audience we have watching today makes a huge impact to these nonprofits. So I just want to say thank you again, Jerry, for being on. And I'm just so excited to share your message and continue to spread confidence in everyone in this world.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on. And everybody who's watching, we'll see you all next week. If you enjoyed this episode of Little Give, head on over to our website at littlegive.com. You'll be able to find all the information about previous episodes and past guests that we've had on. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Little Give, all the information is also on the website. And if you have a nonprofit that you love and would like to recommend be on the show, all of that information is also on the website. We really appreciate you watching today, and we can't wait to see you again next week.